Happy Purim! We had such a fun time today reading the book of Esther and our family acting it out. You'll see little clips here as we read the story and our children acted out. Our oldest had fun directing everyone and telling them what to say and what to do and where to go. And as we read, we talked about the story and then how the goodness of Yahweh in the midst of this. And it's a beautiful story because it's part of our story. If you are a believer in Yeshua, if you follow the Bible, believe in the Bible and what it has to say, this is part of our story. Why? Because if this had not happened and all of the Jews had been killed, we would not have the Messiah. Yeshua would not have come and died for us. So today, as we remember the great bravery of Esther that was given to her by Yahweh, though his name is never mentioned in the book, we know that this is where it comes from. And he saved his people in order to save his people. This isn't just a Jewish story. This is the story of anyone who calls on the name of Yahweh, who calls on the name of Yeshua, who is our Savior. It's so easy to think that because this happened in the Old Testament that it does not belong to us. But remember, the Bible is all one story. It is a story of life and redemption. It is a story of peace and a story of war. And right now we're in the midst of many spiritual battles, but we know that the war is won. And as we put on our armor and we wage in those battles that we have, where we fight not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers and the powers and the principalities, we need to remember this story as we come to the end of the biblical year. Put on your armor as you watch what's going on in the world. Remember that you too are here for such a time as this. This phrase gets repeated over and over again as we're reminded of the bravery and the courage of Esther as she went into the king to ask for the lives of her people. But she didn't do it in a way that was obvious. She didn't storm the castle and go in. She went and she knew exactly what to do and exactly what to say because Yahweh was her God. And if Yahweh is your God, if you have placed your faith in Yeshua, you too are here for such a time as this. So read the scriptures, all of the scriptures, and see how this story fits into the grand story that Yahweh has given us in his word. Celebrate, remember, feast, take care of others, take care of your family, and learn more and more about him each and every day. So tell us, are you celebrating today? Are you remembering the goodness of Yahweh our God? That his loving kindness endures forever. That you are here for such a time as this, that he takes care of his humans. He is here for you if you belong to him. Take courage, take heart that even when the Hamans of the world rear their ugly heads, that you too can stand in the courage. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be dismayed, for the one who reigns in you or lives in you will be strong in you today. While that's from Joshua and not Esther, it still stood. Mordecai told her, if you will not be courageous, then we will all die, and you with us. But she took a stand. She stood up, and we see that those who loved Yahweh prospered. I'm also reminded too that during this time, the Jews had been allowed to go back to Jerusalem. And it's easy to say, well, why didn't they go back? Why weren't they faithful and go back? But they were faithful to stay there because Yahweh knew that Esther needed to be there, needed to be here for such a time as this in order to save the Hebrews from the evil that was coming upon them. Take heart, Christian. Take heart, Bible believer. While we are waiting in this time, we both fast and we feast. Today we feast, remembering the goodness of our God. Put your trust in Him and remember His goodness and His grace as you feast on His word and His goodness and His love.